Hi there, crafty friends. Welcome and thank you for joining me. My name is Melissa, and today we are going to make a card using Lawn Fawn's Wild Wolves stamp and die set. I just love this. It is so cute. And we will also be using the wolves before and after. We're going to be using the two wolves on there and the dies. Now, I got this stamp and die set from participating in Firefly Farms Create and Connect, I believe is what she called it. And this was our welcome gift. And we were challenged to make two cards using this set. And so I am going to share with you today one of the cards that I made. And I just think it came out so cute. So we did two. This is one of the two that I submitted. And I just love that. It is so cute. Those wolves just stand out against that black background. So this is what we're going to do today, only we're going to change it up a little bit. I want to see what the wolves look like colored gray. I think that will look really cool. So that's what we will be doing. Let's go ahead and get started. First, we need to stamp our wolves. So when I was testing everything out for this, I could not find a good black ink that I liked that I could color with my Copics and my other alcohol markers without it being too light or it would fade. And I just was not happy with that. So we are going to heat emboss. I found that was the best way to get the darkest black that I could. So I like to use VersaFine, and then we will heat emboss in clear. So let's get these inked up. And this is so easy. It is a little bit time consuming because you have to color all of the images and then die cut and then place it. But I'm going to try to make this as short as I can for you. We're just going to ink that up, but that is just striking. I love those wolves on that black background. We probably don't need to ink it up again, but I'm going to just because that's what I do. That's the way I am. I would rather be safe than sorry, and I noticed my little guy there in the middle just needs to be a little bit darker. And that's perfect. So now let's go ahead and get this out of there. And I will clean that up immediately after I'm done with my video here because I don't want to leave that pigment ink on that stamp for too long. So we're going to bring in our clear embossing powder. And we're just going to coat this whole thing. Just like that. Super easy. You guys have seen me heat emboss before. I just love the look of heat embossing. I do it quite often, actually. We've got our moon on there and our big scary tree. So we received this set as a welcome gift for the Firefly Farms crate. And the way Trisha sets that up, I mean, it is just amazing. You get so much product. I think we had 4 classes. I did the card making crate and we got 4 classes included. A Lawn Fawn class, a Pinkfresh class. Mindy Egan did a class and it was just so much fun. And then you got all the cards. So let's go ahead and heat this up. All right, I think that is pretty good. What I'd like to do is I just hold it in the light to make sure all those details are shiny, because once they're shiny, that means you are good to go. So let's go ahead and color now. So on my sample that I submitted in the challenge, I did brown wolves. And my wolves that I colored, I used my Stampin' Up! Blends because I have them and because I liked these two colors together. So for my brown wolves, I used SU 500 and dark cinnamon cider, but look at what you have. Look at the markers that you have and use what you like. For my tree here, I'm using my Copics. We've got E57 and E29, and I will have all colors, everything that I used listed in the description. We're using our black. I've used my black so much that the numbers have wore off, but that's 100. Always have your colorless blender handy. For their little ears, I used light bubble bath. And then for my gray wolves, I went through all my Copics and I couldn't find two grays that blended nicely for the color I was looking for. So I am going to use my dark smoky slate and light gray granite Stampin' Blends. So again, I already had these. I wasn't going to go purchase new markers just for this card. So use what you have handy. So I'm only going to do a couple little wolves here just to show you how I color them. And then I've already got some others ready, but we're going to start with our lightest color first. This end. And let's see, let's do this guy here. So let's start with the tail. I'm going to color the tail in first, and let's also do his body at the same time since we're here. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this full moon, I'm looking at the full moon. Today is Thursday. We had the full moon last night. And my goodness, I have been in a funk for the last few days. And I think it was because of the full moon. I don't know. Does the full moon affect any of you? Leave me a comment. Let me know. Is it all in my head, or was it really the full moon affecting me? I don't know. So I took my darker color, and I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just going to color that in. And see there, then we get shading. So again, I'm going with my lightest color. Let's come up here and do his face and his ears. Nothing too fancy. All lightest color first. Then I've got my darker, and we're just going to kind of highlight his ears and his face. And then we'll just come back in and we will just blend that darker into the lighter. And then we've got some shadowing effect in there. And that is just so cute. So that is how I did all of my wolves. Same tactic on everything. Then I'm using my light bubble bath for the inside of their ears. Just like that. So now let's move on to the moon. So we've got our grays, and our moon has craters. And I did do a little Google search, and the craters are darker. So we're going to bring in our gray. This is the darker gray. And what I do here is I'm only going to do the craters. I am not going to do the main body of the moon. Then I'm going to bring in my colorless blender, and I'm just going to do swirls in here. And what's that's going to do is it's kind of taking that darker ink and it's just lightening it. It's moving it around. We're just going to swirl it, go like that. And I like to take my marker and just wipe it off afterward because your tip will get a little stained. So let's do that for our other craters. And then we'll be done with our moon. I'm just going to do an outline. And once that alcohol dries on there, you'll see it comes out really nice. And nobody will know that you used that really dark gray on there. basic coloring, just like that. And we're just lifting some of that gray off of here, our other craters. And it just gives it a nice faded type of look. Okay, so now let's do our tree. I've got my two browns here. I've got my lighter and my darker brown. And same thing, I am going to start with my lighter color. Looks like I need to clean that. That's a little embarrassing. And I'm just going to fill in the tree with my lighter color, just like that. So I had several ideas of what to do with this stamp set for the challenge. But I'm so glad I went with this one. This is just adorable. I love the contrast with that black. So just color in your tree, basic coloring. And luckily these Copics have that large brush tip, so it goes pretty darn quick. And then I'll bring in my darker color, and I'm just going to follow those highlight marks that are in the tree. I'm just going to follow those with my darker. Marker, just like that. I never do any fancy coloring. I know nothing about light sources or color theory. I just wing it. Whatever I think I like, I hope it looks good. And nobody else is terribly offended by the way I just do basic coloring. So now we're just going to come back in, and with that lighter marker, when we go over those darker lines, it will blend. And I did go out of the line a little bit there, but you know what? That's okay, because wait till you see what we're going to do next. We're almost done here. It's a little overcast today. I hope you're having good weather wherever you are. Today is Thursday, last day of August, but I won't post this until Sunday. All right, there we go. So we have colored in our tree. Now, if I were to take my dies right now and cut these images out, we would get white. We would cut them out and we would have that white outline on our images. So here's one that I did previously with the brown wolves, and you have that white outline. Okay, well, I didn't want that white outline necessarily on my black background. So what I did here is we're just going to take this black marker that we have, and we are going to outline our image. And you don't have to do a real thick outline because the die does cut fairly close to the image. You don't have to worry about going out real far. So we're just going to outline this image, and then when we die cut it, it will have the black outline instead of the white outline, which is what sometimes we want. So just like that, my black Copic marker, I am outlining, and then when we die cut, let me see if I can find that one. Let's see, I think that one's over here. That is from our little before and afters. And then when we cut that out, it'll have the black outline. So like I told you, I was trying to save a little time here because this card is time consuming with the coloring. I already did a whole bunch of wolves and I've colored them and outlined them. All I need to do is cut them out and then we can start building our card. Oh goodness, I lost my other tape, but that's okay. We can use this. We are just going to tape up all of our dies and then run them through the die cutting machine. And you've all seen me do that before, so I'm going to go ahead and just do that. So now that we've got all our images die cut and we are all ready, I'm missing a little baby wolf. There he is. All right, so we've got all our images die cut and ready. Let's make sure we put our dies back because I do not want to lose any. So this one goes there and this one goes there. And like on my larger set here, when I put a piece of magnet, I just use the magnet you get at Home Depot. When I put a piece of magnet on there, I like to write the number of dies just so I can keep track of them all and make sure that I haven't misplaced one. They do have a tendency to fall on the ground or end up in the trash on accident. And I just like to make sure they're all accounted for. Okay, so let's get started. So what I did next was I have this new plate from Pinkfresh and it's got the starry background on it. I didn't want to hot foil, but I wanted that impression. So I took 2 pieces of black cardstock. I laid them on here and I did 2 so I would get a little bit more extra pressure on the top one. I ran that through my die cutting machine and I'm hoping that you can see those impressed stars. Kind of the same idea as our letterpress, but I did not use the letterpress. I just ran it through my regular die cutting machine. So I got those impressions in there. And then I started with 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Then I took one of my Lawn Fawn dies. I used the largest rectangle stitched die so I could get some stitching marks around the edge. And then we've got our pieces here. So these are super, super old. I bet I've had these for I don't know how many years. I mixed them. Both sets are from Lawn Fawn. I've got stitched trails and stitched simple wavy borders, and I have a feeling I have extras in here because I also see grass dies, so I couldn't tell you where that came from. But I found 2 dies that I wanted to use. I started with 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I just placed those on my piece of paper so I could get stitched little hills. And just place them however you feel. I actually ran both of these through the machine at once and I got both of my pieces out. So we've got our little hills here. And what we need to do is we need to kind of build our scene and find out where we want our hills, because we need to come back in with our stitched rectangle and die cut these pieces so they fit that border. So we're just going to figure out where we want them. I think that's probably good for our tree. We can take this one, we can line it up with our other piece there that's already cut, and then go cut this out. And then we are also going to do the same with our other bottom hill, just so it also has the stitched rectangle. So let me go do that. So now we have our stitched hills that fit in there perfect. So now we need to add some dimension. And what I did here, I just took some foam tape and placed that behind my hills so we could have dimension back there. And I'm not butting it up all the way to the edges. I am just going like to the stitch marks. And I don't want it real thick, but I do want some dimension. So we're just going to add some foam tape. Just like that. I will continue to do that. So there we've got foam tape on both of our pieces of our hills. And let's get those moved out of the way a little. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my larger hill and line that up on my panel, just like that. Then bring in my second little hill and do the same thing. And it does not have to be perfect, your foam tape, because nobody is going to see that. So now we have our hills, and that is coming along nicely. So let's set up our scene here. We will have to trim a little bit of that off, that tree there. But what I want to do first, I think, is we need to put our sentiment on first, so I will know where to place those wolves. And I already have all my sentiments all done. All I did here was white heat emboss on black cardstock, and these came out super cute. I've got black foam strips behind those. Let's do this sentiment. And like I said, this does come together really easy. It is just a little time consuming with that coloring. There we go. We will put our sentiment down here in the bottom left. And what I'm doing is I am lining that up along those stitch marks. I butted it up on the left-hand side, and then also on the bottom, I'm just putting that right in those stitch marks. And then we can take a look at our wolf here. We've got our little wolves. Let's do the tree first. And I need my glue. I left that over on the other side of the table because I am also working on another card over there. So let's see. And I think that's perfect. That way it doesn't stick up over the panel. So let's attach that. I just glued that directly to my card base here. And I like the fine tip glue. I find that I get less seepage out of the edges when I use the fine tip. Let's just place that in there, just like that. And we can bring in a little block to hold that down while we work on the rest here. And I think that's going to fit perfect. I think we have one over here. I think he's probably pretty good right there. I'm just looking at my placement. So I think that's good. You know what? Let's bring him over a little bit. And I want that moon right above his nose. We're going to use dimensionals So I got a little quiet there. I'm sorry about that. I was concentrating. So we're just going to put some of our foam sticky pieces back behind our moon. Just like that. And we've got some tweezers. We want to make sure we get it placed just right. I'm going to put it right there. And then we are just going to use our foam pieces and pop up all of our little wolves here. So for these, the couple here, I just need foam behind their heads because we have layers here and we don't need to go any more than that. So I think that's perfect. We'll just get them placed, and it comes together really simple from this point, really quickly. Let's just place them down here. And I'm also lining them up with the stitches on the bottom of my card panel. Let's get a different block just to hold that in place. Now we will add our howler here. Same thing, let's put a foam behind his head and then we can add him. Now we will attach our sentiments, our sub-sentiments, our little howls. He's howling. That is so cute. I'm not a good howler, but I try. All right, so one last little howl. And that is adorable. I just love the gray. The gray is so cute. And it matches the moon. But see, here we've got our wolves and they match the tree. But we're not done yet. We still need to add our stars. And for my stars, all I did was bring in my jelly roll, and it's a number 8. And I am just going to randomly draw some little stars. So now we've also got the stars drawn on here with our jelly roll, but at the same time we've got those impressions that I'm hoping you can see from the hot foil plate. Even though we didn't hot foil with it, we made impressions. And I don't want to go too nuts with my stars here, so I'm just going to add a few. So like I said, we had the full moon last night. I got some good pictures. I went outside and I got a couple good pictures. But man, oh man, I think it really affected me this time. I don't know how about you, but I was like in a funk. I was pretty moody. And I didn't mean to be. There was no reason for it. I think it was just the moon. Please be sure to leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of this card. And that's pretty good. You know what? I am going to stop right there. I don't want to overdo it with our stars. And then all I do is attach this to a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch A2 panel, and then all I have to do is put it on a card base, and we are done. So let's attach this to our panel, just like that. And that is so cute. That is just striking. And you know what, over here, I did put a piece of foam underneath that, but I don't really think we need it because our hills have dimension and everything else has so much dimension. I'm trying not to touch my stars because I know they're not quite dry yet. But that is so cute. Okay. So I need you to tell me which one you like better. Leave me a comment. Let me know which is your favorite. Do you like the gray wolves or do you like the brown wolves? So this was one card that I submitted. I will do another video later with the other card that I submitted. Thanks so much for spending time with me, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.